This conference will now be recorded.
So this is LIN01's 2019 facility plan meeting with the State Construction Department. We'll introduce ourselves first.
Good morning. My name is Brandon Finney. I'm with the Wyoming State Construction Department. And my role with the team is to identify any capital construction needs through the facility planning process, and then work with the planning and finance team to submit those requests to legislative bodies in anticipation for an appropriation.
Hi, I'm Raj Dami. I'm the accounting analyst, and I work with the facility plan team basically just to provide them with information from the AIM database and just help them out with whatever they need.
Amber Leach with planning, and my role during this process is to work with the district on the documentation for today's facility plan.
Troy Decker Planning. My role is quality control, make sure our facility plans abide by all state statutes, SFC rules and regs, make sure we update our database in this process, make sure we have good data so that we can send reports to the select committee and the commission, and then just make sure that we have good open communication. You guys are able to express needs, concerns, ideas, and then we're able to respond to those in a written form as well as a recording.
I'm Paul Severson. I work with the project management team. I provide leadership, coordination, calibration so that we can offer as consistent a project management service to our districts. And today I'm here in support of Lance.
I'm Lance Johnson, project manager, school facilities. I work directly with the districts.
Okay, I'm Teresa Chalk, superintendent of schools here, and I enjoy greatly working with Lance. I guess
Thank you.
Needs to be said. I think we're, just so you know, I think we're one of the luckiest regions in the state to have Lance. And my job is to make sure that I have functioning, operational, safe buildings for our students and our staff to be in, and continue to have discussions about how we use our facilities with you guys.
Richard Maloney, maintenance director for the district. I guess mine is I wear several hats, trying to keep the district running, heat-wise, lights, safety, everything involved in keeping our students and staff operational.
Kim Zuniga, business office clerk. I do accounts payable and anything that Teresa needs in my support of as far as budgeting and facility planning too.
And AIM's expert.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, good job. Well, thank you and welcome this morning. Look forward to going through this facility plan. A couple things on the front end of this. Periodically in the past, and who knows if we'll get them in the future here, but the governor's office has requested facility plans at times to look over. We have had individual legislators request plans in the past as well. So and then we recognize also in these facility plans that school districts do have changeover of personnel, and then of course our staff has changeover. We just we're able to have the blessing of having Charlie Kaufman. He's now the business director or business manager of Plat One, and so we lost him, and we're sure proud of him and his achievements. But yet at the same time, we have turnover as well. So these facility plans are written in a videoed record of a district's facilities. And I think it's just a great opportunity. So anybody can really grab hold of this facility plan. We have a lot of visuals in it. And within 10 minutes have a really good understanding of the school district and what's going on there. So with that, continuity I think is the objective. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our video, guys, because we do have streaming issues periodically. So now that we've introduced ourselves, and you're welcome to keep yours on or whatever you'd like to do, or you can turn off as well. But if you do have streaming issues, you can turn it off and it'll help on that.
So Troy, just, I don't know if you know, but Richard is retiring at the end of May.
No, he isn't.
Yes, I am.
I guess denial gets us nowhere. Richard, congratulations. I've always enjoyed you. You've always been a great guy to learn from, and wish you the best.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's not leaving town, he's just retiring. I always point that out. Oh.
Gotcha. Do you guys, are you in the process of, or will be in the process of replacing Richard?
Yes.
Okay. You're going to hire 2 to 3 more people, I take it?
Actually, I'm hiring one and giving him another hat.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's going to be a maintenance transportation director.
I see. Yeah. And a lot of, and
It's a perfect scenario because they do a lot of things together, and there's no reason to have 2 people in charge of making those people work together.
if you offered
Part of the
Richard,
reason he's leaving, he didn't want to have to take over transportation because this is the year I have to do it with my other principal retiring. So.
well, I was going to say, if you offered Richard a $50,000 increase in his pay, he might consider it.
No, and the person that
Well, I
replaces
knew that
him-
wouldn't happen.
Yeah. I don't get $50,000 and I wear like 5 hats, so I can't give what I don't get myself.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of school districts are going to that. They're having a combination of roles with regard to transportation and facilities. So we get that, and it's just a matter of economy to scale. It's a matter of functions, and so okay. Well, anyway, Richard, congratulations, and thank you for joining us this one last time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So we've got some visuals, just some Google Earth shots of your facilities here, just to be illustrative on this facility plan. You guys, Amber, and you guys work in advance to this meeting, so that you can make sure the database is up to date. So some of this at the front end we'll go through fairly quickly, but if there's something that anybody has a question on or continue observations or comments, go ahead and let me know. So with that, you guys have reviewed the acreages and verify the accuracy of those acreages. Those do have an impact on your groundskeeper allowances through WDE. You guys know that WDE shares enrollment numbers, the October 1 enrollment numbers with us each year. We usually get those in December. It takes them a while to scrub it. And we also get ADM from them, and vice versa. We send what's in this database is actually authoritative and is sent over to them. I know that they run it through you and verify it, but it's nice that you can do this on the front end and make sure that everything looks good. So thank you for doing that. I just said the AIM database is up to date. And by the way, once you guys and Amber are ready with facility plan, I go through, I do preload my comments and stuff. We can adjust them as we go, but it just makes the meeting more efficient. Property profiles. Now this wasn't checked, if I'm all right, and there's probably a reason down here, so we'll back up to that in just a moment. But you do have the property profiles. This is each building, all the information in the building. Property profiles that we send over to WDE does impact your major maintenance because it has to do with allowable square footage. It also affects the WDE operations and maintenance payments. So very important data, and we'll look at why.
I can tell you why it's not checked. It has to do with the pump house. You have the pump house is on there twice, and we believe that that is inaccurate. When we discussed that with Amber, anyway, that needed to be discussed here before we could check it off. The only disagreement we have, there was 2 pump houses on there. One at Lincoln County Track and Field Pump House in Diamondville, which is correct. But then there was a pump house. Yeah, then go about a little over halfway through the page. Kimmer Junior Senior High Pump House, Kimmer, that one is not correct, and we do not have that. That should not be on here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now, Kim, you get that AIM update form for that one, or did I communicate that correctly? Yes. Okay.
Yes, I submitted 3 of them.
Okay, perfect. I know that there was 2 address changes on that we were working through.
Yep.
When I tried to do this just prior to this meeting, I know Janet was not done, and we have that in the notes capturing that we are updating those.
That was the only reason it's not checked at the top, Troy. Just that one thing.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys have reviewed your leases, building leases, and verify accuracy. This can impact your allowable square footage that affects your major maintenance payments, and approved educational programs, I think nonprofit, government agencies. If they're approved, then you actually, if you have enough ADM to drive that square footage, you can include that square footage even though it's being leased out if it's in an educational building. District has reviewed enhancements and accuracy. Thank you for doing that. This is actually a report that we're required to give to the select committee each year on an annual basis. And so a couple notes here, and Amber's doing a great job at notes. Pool project is finished to finish in May. After expenditures complete, the district is to submit to Lance an enhancement acknowledgement form and a request from Shelley to be placed on an upcoming meeting agenda for consideration of acknowledgement of that enhancement.
So I'm curious why it's an enhancement when we're just updating our current pool that we've had over 40 years.
An enhancement is any expenditure from a school district on facilities, for the physical facilities, that is not fit within the adequacy standards. School pools do not fit within the adequacy standards. Therefore, any district monies that you spend are categorized as an enhancement, which is above and beyond the adequacy standards of the state for potential capital funding.
And to add on that, we have to report those expenditures to various legislative bodies.
Yeah.
One of them being select committee, and the other in our annual report, and the other one being this year they asked in House Bill LIN01. It goes to the education committee as well. So reporting.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. Actually, legislators and legislative bodies are becoming more interested in how much money districts are spending outside of the capital program. And I'm not sure why, but that's just something that they're going to start requiring even more of us. The district needs to submit an AIM update form to Janet, and it sounds like you already have then, district?
Yes. Kim was able to provide that. It's just not processed at this moment.
Okay. So I'll just say the district has submitted, right?
Yeah.
An update form. Hey guys, you can, on the district side or Lance, if you see something you want changed, just let me know. These are our notes, but I don't mind you guys giving recommendations as well. The district has submitted an AIM update form to Janet as SCD in order to update the property profiles as listed above. So thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, appropriations. You've got two of them. Lance, the 1098, which is Kemmer Middle School kitchen cafeteria renovation, and then the 2021, the Kemmer Elementary School, and that must be the component project that was approved. Is that correct?
Actually, I believe that's a capital project, Troy, and that's been out there for quite some time to expand the cafeteria into the kitchen to allow for. It's actually all linked into when we did the renovation for the K6 grade configuration of that building. Sorry,
I was referring to the second one.
Oh.
Yeah, the first one's that kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, the Kemery, yes, that's
Not gonna happen.
just on hold. You know, we were holding that pending that seismic study, which we have now. And
okay, well, let's have a more of a discussion there. So and remind me of that project again, Teresa or Lance. It is a component project, the 2821. And what was that project for? What was the scope?
That's commission directed component project.
Because it was a 0.4 or something, yeah. And it was addressed the low scoring, right? High deferred maintenance costs in the building. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah. So with that, Teresa, you guys, even though you're moving Kemmer Elementary School, the students out of there, and you're going to put the alternative school, this is on the books. There's nothing that, to my knowledge, Lance in the past that would require them to take it off the inventory. They're going to keep it, as my understanding, so you can move forward with that project.
Okay. Well, if you're telling me that's like music to my ears, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any, and I thought about this last week here. I don't see any ability for us or desire from the state side to not deal with that. We know that the seismic study shows that because those zones changed back in whatever year that was, that it doesn't meet. I'm sorry, what's that?
That was Gene Carmody was our superintendent. It was 2006 or 2005 maybe.
Maybe 5 now.
So the school district's very aware that it doesn't meet the seismic zone requirements that are present, but it did back then apparently, or supposedly. You guys are keeping the building, and I don't see any authority that we would have or desire to slow you down on. You're going to put students back in there, which is your choice. Mm-hmm. And I think we just move forward with the project unless the school district or Lance feels otherwise.
Brandon, do we have specifics on that commission-directed component project in terms of scope?
Yeah, it came out of the FEA study as far as when we were trying to transition into the asset preservation model. They went through every one of the 0.40 and that number came from very specific components. So I can share all that. Actually, it might even be attached to the project in AIM.
I'm going to check right now.
Yeah, if we could get that, that would be good to get. We can start that discussion, Teresa.
Yeah, so sometime soon, Lance. You want to come here? You want me to come there? We can.
I can stop by. Yeah, we can do that, and you know, we're also going to be talking about your move over to the elementary as well. So
we're talking a lot about that right now, trying to get it all scheduled.
Yeah, and I know you and I had that discussion about the kitchen that you wanted to get moved, get settled, and then we can start doing that for perhaps next summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next summer 2020 is when I'd like to be all ready to start it. The day kids are out of school, start doing that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about both of those here, and whenever you're ready.
I'm ready whenever our schedules match up. So maybe I'll call you after the meeting. Are you busy all day today?
Well, I've got a lot going on, but I can certainly have time just to schedule something with you.
All right, I'll just text you a few dates I'm available, and if any of them match, you can just pick one and text me back.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right, so what I typed was project has been on hold until the seismic study was completed. District is moving the elementary students into Canyon Elementary School, and then plans on moving Frontier High School, correct? I got that right? Oh.
That's correct, New Frontier High School.
Frontier High School students into the Kemmer Elementary School. This needs to remain open, revisit next year, move forward, green light, and so on.
So what's happening with the former structure of Frontier High School? Is that one of your leased properties, or is that one of your own properties, Flex? Yeah, I know what it is.
It's our property, and we don't have anything designated for it other than if we might clean it up a little bit and use it as a teacherage. We don't have any of those, but that's the only thought we have. It's a duplex that right now it would have to, I don't know what it was before. When I moved here, that's where Bosse's was, and they outgrew it, and that's why they wanted to move down to Burgoon when we closed Burgoon. So the only thing we have for it would be, like I said, if we cleaned it up a little bit and made it a teacher's, a low rent housing for a teacher that moved here that couldn't find a decent place to live affordably for their first year. That's the only thought we have right now.
Okay.
Or it's the only thought I have right now. There may be other collective thoughts out there, but.
Okay.
Lance, this is Brandon. I just shot you the link to the file in the server.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Name.
Now, there may be some discussion next commission meeting that may change this, but as far as we know and as far as we're convinced at this moment that there's a green light on that project.
So Doobie said it's pretty much safe.
Doobie said it doesn't meet the present seismic zone requirements for structural integrity.
But
Right, Doobie says that it's 15 million to replace the building, 14 million to reinforce it so that it would withstand more than one seismic issue, and I think 10 million to reinforce it. But if we had a seismic issue, we could not use it again. Roughly it.
yeah, the existing building code allows them to continue to use that building. There's nothing that prevents them from using that building. There is no requirement.
Seismic code saying if it doesn't meet this structure,
No.
seismic issue, then you can use it.
Correct.
Got it.
It's up to the Lincoln County School District Board of Trustees to decide whether or not they want to use that building, and it's a liability issue they choose to accept or not to.
So do you guys have a board motion saying that green light to use it after the study?
Yes, I mean, well, you guys sit here at the meeting, and yeah, 2 board members were adamant that we're going to use that building.
I'm thinking fast forward, we spend $3 million, and then someone from the state side said, "Why'd you spend the money?" We could then go through this process we just went through. Local
Right.
poll, local board made a motion here, money spent here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can easily make sure and have that happen for you under an action item that we have gone through all the seismic study with the SFD. And I can have, I mean, I don't know if it's actually written in a board meeting minutes, but I can make sure it is for you.
Okay.
That's what you, that's no problem. I think Troy and Lance know that I've been given the directive that we're going to use our buildings as we see fit unless legally told we can't. So that's the tone you get from me throughout all this, because that's my charge from my board. Don't you agree, Lance?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to argue that one with you.
Not saying it's right or wrong, it just is.
It's just respect.
Yeah. So I hope they don't watch the YouTube video.
If they do, they're pretty boring. They have nothing better. Okay, that sounds good, Teresa. And your presence, of course, is really important to this next commission meeting, and along with Paul's knowledge of codes and you've seen the summary sheet, so I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I don't know if my board chair's coming or if he's just writing a letter for me to have, but I'm hoping he'll come with me. But if not, I told him he had to write a letter on behalf of the board, so it wasn't just coming from me.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, I requested him to write a letter.
Okay. Security projects, Lance.
Okay, so we've had a meeting. It was back in December of 2017 on security, and just haven't been moving forward with any of that security money at this time up to date. But we can start talking about that again as well, Teresa, with that. But you have quite a few security component projects out there that we can get maybe working on anytime you're ready. You are aware that you may use 10% of your major maintenance money from fiscal year 17-18 and also 19-20 to use for security on pretty much anything for security that has a work code with it, associated with it. And also this year, there was $4.9 million approved for additional security projects, and it went to the governor with some restrictive language on what to spend those on, and it got, the governor struck out some language that that included that you could only spend it on the 8 items that were identified already and allocated for, and now they're the commission and the staff are in discussion on what that means and how that is going to be spent. So soon you'll get an appropriation for that, your piece of that $4.9 million, and we'll have some sidelines on, or some sideboards on how we can spend that and which of those security components we can spend that on. Now, there has been talk about the 10% not being available out of your major maintenance money in 21 and 22. So as we go through and we start spending that security, 10% security major maintenance money, we have to watch your balance and make sure that we don't overspend, because it may not be replenished the fall, during that year. So we'll just keep an eye on that when we put in work orders on that.
I know that's when we have our meeting, Lance. I know I need to update our two-way communication and our radio systems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't got a bid or anything on that yet, but and then I know video's not on here yet. I don't know how that falls into play. We're looking at having those video with sound systems in each classroom.
And see, that may be one of the 20 items that'll be opened up with more flexibility than with this new money, but that'll be determined yet. It's not one of the 8 at this time, right. But there may be some opportunity to spend that. But as of right now, the 8 items, the security elements that you do have, you're aware that you can transfer money from one element to another. And if you choose to do that, then you acknowledge that there won't be any back funding of that element, except for now with this new money coming in. I guess if it was part of the 20 and you were wanting to put money back into one of those elements, you probably could. I don't see any restriction on why you couldn't do that. We've also had, over the last 3 years, we've had security conferences, and I don't recall if you guys have attended those or not. We've had them in Casper, Riverton, Cheyenne, and we'll be having them as well throughout this year and hopefully into the future. So keep in mind that those are good to go to get an idea of what's going on, and also understanding and hearing questions from other districts on what they've got going. And there's also opportunity to get additional funding from Homeland Security and Department of Justice for grants for security as well, if you want to extend your security funds outside and try and gather some of those grants outside the SFD.
So are those security conferences posted on the SFD website?
They typically are, and I think I believe also that they're sent out to the superintendents and business managers as an invitation as well. I'm not 100% on that, but I've seen those.
I think they're probably on a soup memo, but it's easier to go look at your website if they're all posted there.
And we will, and as of yesterday, we've got a proposed date of September 30th for a half-day conference. That's preliminarily planned to be in Laramie at the University Gateway Center, and it isn't confirmed yet, but that's what we're looking at right now. It'll be a half day, and then it's followed by WDE's S5S conference on safety. So it would be equal to the superintendent of schools safety conference.
Yeah, I always go to the S5S conference. So, all right. Thanks.
You don't know where yet, though.
Oh, yeah, Gateway Center in Laramie at the university.
Good. All right, capacity. There it is. You guys, we did do an analysis. I know Amber's been working with you guys to do an analysis on your capacity when the Kemmer Elementary School moves over into Canyon. And what are the responsibilities we have in approving a reconfiguration request when you bring one school into the next, into another is just looking at capacity. And I think, I don't have Amber here. She's, unfortunately, she's a busy girl today. So, but I think that was a 70-some%, like 78 or 79% capacity once you move them over. So we don't see any issues with regard to you causing capacity issues by eliminating the Kemmer Elementary School as an elementary school itself. So it looks like you guys can do that. You'll have some space to do it. Obviously, you'll be tighter, but you'll still have room to grow. Any comments on that?
Just based on the numbers here, you add the enrollment capacity, we're being 87% capacity when we move, not 70.
And I may have missed that. I apologize if I didn't correctly quote that.
That's all right. Just calculators are pretty easy to use. So I'll be happy to see an 87% on one of my capacities for the future years.
Looking at your numbers here, we always go over this on a regular basis for enrollment projections. And I try not to assume anything, so I'll just start from the beginning here. We do 10 years of trailing data, actual enrollment reported by WDE, and then we project out. The reason we use projections, actually they're really not used unless you receive capital funding to remedy either a capacity or a condition issue or whatever. So they're just numbers there. They're there. We all know that this is mathematical formulaic computations that show possibilities based on previous knowns. So with that, I think that it's kind of, and as you look at your kindergarten class, last year was lower than you normally have. Hopefully that was just a birth rate type of issue there. But at any rate, you guys average about 59 students over the last 10 years. How these work is you can actually follow like this year's senior class, which is 35. They were 31, 31, 32. And if you back this up all the way, and I might not be hitting the exact one, but perhaps in 2004, they were kindergarten at 36, and then it kind of just went through. So what happens is it's just a stair step of falling class from grade to grade to grade, and how many students are basically attending on October 1 of that year. How these work then is survival rates is you take your 2008 kindergarten, they advance 2009 first grade, 2009 kindergarten, 2010 first grade, and you actually do the survival rate over a 10-year average. And for you guys from kindergarten to first grade, you have an 84% survival rate, which means 84% of those students advance on to first grade. A lot of times in districts, why that's low is because you may have some kind of a Kinder Boost program or something that allows you to, if a student is not developmentally ready for kindergarten, they're kind of in kindergarten, they can maybe spend that second year getting prepared and then advance to first grade after that, or you have changes in populations in or out of your town. Teresa, any comments on that?
Yeah, I would say it's a mixture of both. We do have a Kinder Boost program, but we have a pretty high, well, for Kimmer, we have a pretty high turnover rate anymore, in and out. So, but okay. We do have a Kinder Boost. They're identified for that. We cap that at 15 kids, but normally there's just 12 or 13 in it. And we've had that for, I mean, on and off for 15 years. But right now, the last 5 years, we probably only had 3 kids that went from DK to first instead of DK to kindergarten. So
okay.
That's why you'll see some like 50, like 59, well, we'll go back 2017. You had 61 kindergartners in 2017, but 2018, 45 first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they have to meet the age requirement to be in school to attend. We don't have any preschool programs. You have to be a legal age to attend school.
Okay. All right, with that then, from first to second, you have 100% retention and so on. So you guys, every once in a while you lose a couple students, every once in a while you pick up some students. And then when it hits and this is typical in the high school, when it hits high school, you have some loss of students. Your freshman year, only 96% of those students from 8th grade over the last 10 years advanced, so on. And then, of course, your lowest grade there is senior grade, but that's just the reality of, I guess, the upper level students and how many actually graduate and how many don't. So with that, the last observation is, of course, it's important to look at here, and you guys aren't extremely unstable, but you recognize that every student's worth about $15,000. So every student that leaves has a substantial impact. Just looking at that, you probably had from last year to this year perhaps around a $400,000 drop in revenues through the block grant because of your loss of students. And we know that you have to balance those budgets and each year and make things work and provide the best education you can for the students.
Yep. And we're at 585 today, so. Wonderful.
Okay, so with that then, statewide, we always do a statewide capacity list. We have according to commission policy and rule, we have a high capacity of 100% or above. There's quite a few, like seven schools in this category. We have a medium capacity, 95 to 100, and then low capacity schools across state from 90 to 95. The interesting thing about this is last year we only had like 1 or 2 in the high capacity percentage category. But what happened was the commission went to a restricted capacity of 25 students for K through 3, and then they got a bunch of pushback, and so they kind of came back and went back to a restricted capacity of 16 at K through 3. So what happened then is it really pushed a bunch of elementaries up here in a high capacity percentage category. So the interesting one here is Natrona. They're 300 seats short in the buildings they're using, but they just mothballed 4 schools. So they actually have 900 seats available. So they, in reality, do have, if they want to move back into those schools and not have the 300 short in the existing ones, they certainly can. So with that, that's just something we'd like to show everybody, that there are continuing capacity concerns in the state. So what I said here is district has sufficient capacity for enrolled students. Anything else, Teresa, on capacity?
No, I guess I'd like to reiterate my little statement where we have the space that was approved and we'll use it how we see fit. Goes back to the enrollment projections. We've bonified all of our buildings since 2009, and with the highest enrollment there was 616. So I guess, that's it. I just always want to say, it's a point of contention with me is that we rebuilt Canyon Elementary. We rebuilt Kimmer Junior Senior High, with all the, and we didn't knock them down and start over. And it just feels like that decision was approved and moved forward with, and yet every year we're hit with, have too much square footage, if that makes sense. So I got to get over that probably someday, Troy and Lance, but I don't know when that'll happen.
Well, look at the wonderful positive. I just said you have sufficient capacity for your enrolled students.
Yeah. No, we love our facilities.
Yeah. No, we recognize and capacity percentages and so appreciate that. And we're not, just to let you know, we're not making any judgments there. We're just recognizing that no capital funds are coming your way in order to address overcapacity. So that's about the.
Yeah, and we're not asking for any.
Yeah. I was pretty safe in thinking that as well. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And there's no criticism whatsoever on your low percentages.
Okay. Thank you.
You betcha. You don't have any charter schools, so there's nothing to talk about there. Right. Building condition, you guys know the higher the building score, the more deferred maintenance is associated with that score. And as buildings age, you obviously have to have more resources. You have to put in major maintenance kicks in even more so. You're always taking care of your preventive maintenance. And then, of course, sooner or later in a building's history, it has to have an infusion of capital funds in order to keep it up to a condition that is, I guess, meets the standard of the state, meets the needs of the district as they educate those students. This year I put in also a way that we calculate FCI scores, facility condition index scores, just in case someone was just dying to know that. So with facility condition index, we have over 400, like 450 education buildings throughout the state. This is only page one of that 400 and some buildings. You guys are that 0.42, as Brandon said, and that's why you receive component monies to address the low scoring components. And so those are the funds available. If you, now Brandon, my understanding is it's a little bit different component project because it didn't go through the normal process of that 12-member committee for school districts, but the budget's the budget, and if they exceed it, it's major maintenance, or, right?
Yeah.
Like any other component project.
Yeah, some districts, they're supplementing it with major maintenance, trying to get economies of scale, so.
Okay, so make sure it fits within that budget when you go out to bid, and you might even have to have some alternate bids, but Lance is, obviously you do have a great project manager and you guys know what you're doing, so. Ancillary buildings or support facilities, these are interesting. I don't know why we did that. Oh, it's that one right there, I got it. So you guys have two buildings that are lower scoring, 38 and 30.38 and 0.36. But here's the reality of support facilities. State law requires the commission to make recommendations for capital funding on educational buildings first, to prioritize educational buildings first and ancillary buildings second. With the present economic conditions and decisions at the legislative level for school district facilities, we don't anticipate any money coming for support or ancillary buildings in the future, in the near future anyway. So I guess our comment is take care of them with your major maintenance, and you're certainly welcome to apply for component projects as well. Take care of them. Don't worry about the Hail Mary right now for capital funding for this, because it's probably not in the future for at least a while.
Hey, question is, does the bus barn fall under 10% though?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, actually, it's an existing bus barn you've had for.
Since 1972.
Oh yeah, you can use regular major maintenance on that. There we go.
Oh, okay. All right. I've been misled on that one, so thank you very much.
No, you can use
Not
regular.
that I have any left after redoing the boiler plant, but for the future.
Yeah.
Hey Teresa, it all depends on what you're talking about, because you have a dirt floor in there, but you can't use major maintenance to put concrete floor down.
It's concrete. We already made it concrete.
We replaced that floor.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't.
So you have to come walk through. They love our new concrete floor. So.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I misled you, or I apologize if I did, but yeah.
I think it was a business manager meeting years ago in the beginning that misled me, or maybe even Frank Johnson, but I've just had that belief for a long time, so It's all right. It's all good.
Yeah, anything existing there you can repair or replace, so, or I should say most everything, so. Okay.
Main thing I'm worried about is the roof, so, all right, thanks. See, that's two. You have two things that you guys have made my day today. Oh, no.
Hey, look at that.
I know.
So this is just your educational buildings alone, and again, we've already talked about Cameron Elementary School and your anticipation of what you're going to do with Frontier High School. Here's your ancillary buildings again. We've already talked about those. So let's see. SCD discussed with the facility director about the impact of working on component projects and the effect on FCI scores. looked at reports in AIM during the final review meeting to train the district on getting the information about FCI scores and notes that are in the report form. So in other words, I'll just say in the report. So in other words, we do have a tool in AIM. Lance can help you with that. Any of us can help you with that. If you want to see the individual scores on any building and notes associated with that by the assessor, especially for whoever's, Teresa, if you're going to be running facilities from now on, or your next person, those are great resources for you to look at.
Amber helped us with that. We've got them all downloaded and have them right here.
Yep, got them right in front of them. Yep.
Right. All right. Well, we expect you to memorize them, and we'll quiz you on that.
Right. Oh, well, maybe we'll quiz you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I can do that for me in June.
Well, I can hardly remember my youngest son's name, let alone what you got to score.
Yeah, no doubt.
So major maintenance, down to it, you updated your work order status as a name. It's just keeping a clean database, so thank you. You have submitted through Lance projects or requested major maintenance planned work orders, and if they qualify, he approves them. If not, then he gets back with you and leaves a note and tells you why or why not, or clarification. And then the other thing, obviously, you guys know that it doesn't have to be just at the front end of facility planning each year. You have the ability to submit planned work orders at any time during the year for consideration by your project manager. Down on major maintenance balances, we've already talked about your 10% securities monies. So I think that's good. You will expect, I forgot to mention it above, you can expect, like Lance said, there's not going to be any categorization anticipated in the next budget here going forward. But this is the second year of the biennium, supplemental year, and so you will be receiving about, not receiving, but you'll be allowed another $50,000 on top of, because you guys are payment around between $40,000 and $50,000 on the next major maintenance payment. So that would increase your ability to categorize and to spend up to, give or take, $136,000 to $140,000 in 10% security funding.
Okay.
Just as illustrative in this facility plan, this is just last year's priorities and major maintenance. That's all it is illustrative of last year's priorities, and then we had a breakdown per building of those same numbers. You don't really have to say anything about that. You're certainly welcome to, but it's just, again, if someone above us requests a facility plan, it's just good to show them an example of what your priorities were as of last year. These are your low scoring systems in all of your facilities. In the past, and every year we have legislators ask us, are these school districts spending their money, major maintenance money, on the lowest scoring systems and prioritizing those? Well, instead of us speaking for you, we allow you to speak for yourself. That's why we have a drop-down menu here on status, let you type any notes you can up to like 50 characters, and let you speak for yourself. So if anybody asks for this, we'll just pass it on and let your notes speak for themselves. And here's just a ranking, or not a ranking, but it shows the ratings and how they come to those ratings in each of your systems. Every 4 years, we're required to hire a consultant to go out and do on-site condition assessments. That was the last time that was done, is 2016 as a whole for the state. So this fall, we're going to be putting together a scope, going out and getting a professional service provider to do that statewide. And so several things we want to talk about this. Whoever your new person is, Teresa or you, it's really important. It's not going to be April 1st. We use these dates to backdate in order to start in time to get everything done. But there is going to be training offered in Casper in April of next year. We'll let all you districts know, and please provide you or someone else who's going to be learning the facilities and walking the assessors around when they come on site to attend that training. It's only a 4-hour training. It goes through the tool, how the tool's used, what the tool means, how they score, what they're looking for when they show up, and the importance of the school district involvement during those assessments. So please have someone there is our recommendation.
Yeah, we plan to have someone at that meeting, so Lance, remind me so I don't forget.
Well, those are really good, and honestly, I think Kim would be a good one to go to that as well, so she can. And I'll tell you, Kim does a great job with the work code. She really, really picked it up and got it, and it will help her understand how we do the assessments and also where the categories of the work codes are, and how to read that book a little better too. So I would certainly recommend Kim and perhaps your new facility person, whomever that may be.
Well, you're reading my mind, because that's what I was thinking too.
Oh, good.
I think we'll title that training session "Kim's Big Day Out."
Oh, Kim gets to go out. She just spent a week at a governmental finance meeting, so yeah, I send Kim out to learn.
Oh, good, good. You got to take care of your personnel, no doubt about it. Okay, that's a couple more things I'd like to say here. Number one is, and we've had this in the past. It's less now. We don't encourage districts when assessors come on site to do condition assessments, hand them the keys, and to return them at the end of the day and have fun. We do ask and expect the district to shadow them the entire time they're going through all your buildings. Make sure they have as much information as possible in order to get the most accurate condition assessments possible of each building. So we're encouraging you to do that and make sure that happens. And then the last thing is, we have had some concern sometimes by school districts that our assessors show up during school. And the reality for us is the fact that we have over 500 buildings statewide that we have to do. We have 2.5 months to do it in. There's no way. It just can't happen unless we spent not $2.5 million, but $5 million plus. So
we don't have any concerns about them coming during school, because my employees want them to be here during their workday too. We're all good.
Perfect. In that case, I won't talk about that anymore. If you just say yeah, move on. Right? Component projects. You know that component projects are there to supplement major maintenance. So we know that you have a limited amount of major maintenance. You can use major maintenance if you have major systems coming up, and we can probably go back to that and look at this a little more closely and work on our eyesight a little here. But sometimes, like ceiling finishes, 280 some. Here you got fixed furnishing, 366,000. There are some big items in here. You got roof coverings for Canyon at 507. So these are still under warranty. But these are the ones that $500,000 to you guys is a lot of money.
Yeah, those scare us, or me anyway.
Yeah. So if you guys see something identified on these assessments, and it's $500,000 and it's a lot of money. Here's one here, exterior windows at $407,000. You can actually submit component project and ask for capital project monies, component projects to supplement your major maintenance. And so, and we do a webinar all the time. I think the next time you have the opportunity to do that is next year. And we'll give you like 10 months to prepare. We'll give you we'll show you how we the committee that's made up of 12 school district representatives across the state assess these and evaluate them and score them. And you'll be able to, you can use major maintenance to prepare for that. And Lance is very knowledgeable of this and can certainly help you. But we encourage you to use that as a source in the future if you see large dollar amount systems coming down the road, and be prepared for that and to represent your need as best as possible. And this is this year's that was prioritized last year, and it's going to be moving forward. We had a total of 31 projects requested across the state, total of almost $40 million. And then Brandon tells us that price anywhere from $4 to $6 million a year, give or take, is what the legislature, or biennium is what they appropriate. sometimes more, sometimes less, but just know that's a resource. Any questions on that?
Not right now.
Okay, and we'll get that out. When we get that next time, we'll provide a webinar and you guys can attend that and do your thing.
Yeah, Kim's also excellent about catching all those little meeting webinar dates too. She has a lot of talent.
Great. She's starting to blush with pride. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Brandon. About 2 years ago, last year, this is Brandon's idea in facility planning. It's excellent. What we want, you guys track on the educational side. You guys track bills going through the legislative process very closely. Sometimes some of these are in that, but we've found that just talking with you guys about what can affect you in bills, these are all enrolled, is very valuable for you in order for you to abide by state statute. So with that, I'll turn that over to Brandon.
So this
Brandon,
year,
will you email us? We don't have that updated in our firm. Will you email me that your lovely little cheat sheet there?
this one here?
Yeah.
It's actually in your facility plan, and we're going to send it to you, and you'll have a copy.
Oh, okay, cool. Just thank you.
You might have to use a magnet.
I have to say a disclaimer. This is Teresa. I have one of those phone doctor appointments that whenever he calls, I have to leave because he never calls on time. But I just want you to know that if I step out, Richard and Kim will finish up.
Thank you.
Yep. So this year, these are the bills. House Bill 52 is Public Works and Contracts, and what this entails is adjusting the procurement of FF&E. So when you guys do that kitchen remodel, it probably would apply, and you want to have your architect specify products that are available from Wyoming suppliers only. There is an exception process in there, but that's how the statute's written. House Bill 65 is procurement. A lot of the statutes were old and out of date back in the late 70s and early 80s. So what this does is bring the dollar values up to present value of today's dollars. As you can see, a lot of them are across the board. So the standard is $50,000 for bonding and procurement and 2 weeks for advertisement at a minimum. Hopefully the bonding being $50,000, it was $7,500. Maybe you can put some more local contractors to work as well to remove that barrier to entry. On the education major maintenance funding, which is House Bill 78, this is going to go into effect not this year, but one more year out. You're going to go to quarterly major maintenance payments. So this will have an effect. Go ahead.
I said that one we're well aware of.
Yeah. So you'll probably want to analyze your deferred maintenance, look at your cash balance, cash on hand, and perhaps readjust some of the work that was going to be done. House Bill 79 is school finance interfund loans. COLEAS bonuses are getting slim, and this is a mechanism for the legislature to borrow from different accounts. If you got any civil work coming up, House Bill 152 is about underground utilities. The architect will need to specify and in the contract documents, including probably the front end bid docs, the utility locates. The penalty is now $5,000. It was $500 if a utility's hit. Senate File 49 is about private schools, county zoning authority, dealing with private schools, trying to have private schools having the same level of facilities as those in public. Senate File 57 would probably affect the district. You got public records requests and how that's handled when they come in. Senate File 74, professional service procurement, another bill trying to get state dollars to be used on local architects and engineers. So it has a scaled system. Depending upon the size of the project, a certain percentage needs to go to local design professionals. And last one is House Bill 1, which we'll go over. There's a couple projects over appropriated funds. First one's Sweetwater. It received money for Satellite High School. John C. Schiffer up in Sheridan 2 got some money for an alternative school, high school. We have a reappropriation of existing funds for Shawnee Modulars. They had a couple ranch schools. This was the last one out there, about 2 miles from town. They reappropriated the funds to take care of that school. We have a charter school lease in Laramie, Wyoming. The commission, as you're aware, always has a little bit of unanticipated for unforeseen conditions. Security projects, as Lance was talking about earlier, you'll be receiving some of this money when it's divvied up between the districts. We'll be taking the methodology or draft of consideration to the commission in May to get their input on it, and then probably finalize it in June. Then the money will be allocated and deployed by the districts. Major maintenance, you'll see an increase in your payment a little bit. When we ran the calculations, RS means numbers went up, so you'll be getting a little bit of that $1 million there. And then the last one is in Laramie 1. We have another charter school called PASS. So in total, there's $34.2 million appropriated, and we're now preparing for the next budget. So Troy's going to run through some of the updates, and then we'll talk about if you see any needs.
I just made an assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa, that you don't have any capital requests this year.
She just left for that phone call, but as far as I know, we don't have any requests.
Okay. So
I'll come down. So, is that all right? We're switching the order on you.
one of the interesting things is our rules and regs have been updated, and within those updated rules and regs, we have in the last historically submitted 2 lists to the commission for consideration of capital funding requests to the select committee. One was a capacity list, what I showed you just previously here, and then one's a condition list that we've historically presented with the highest condition needs across state as well, which we previously showed you. And then from those, when capital appropriations were realized or appropriated toward those projects, it also covered educational suitability needs in those projects. The new rules of the land is every building will be actually will have 3 scores to it, or 3 weightings. The condition score for every building will have 50% weight. The capacity will have 35% weighting, and then the educational suitability, which we did do back in 2010, is dated. Most buildings in the state have an educational suitability score, but it's probably outdated, obviously. That will be 15% of a building score to make up a composite score as a whole, and then that will be prioritized and shown to the commission. So that's kind of the new process that is going to be going forward. We'll see what the commission does with that and what the legislature does with that as we move through the legislative process. Any questions on that?
So will that affect our FCI scores when you guys come and run through our buildings again this coming year?
No, it won't have any impact on your FCI score. It will be a reflection of your FCI score. So
okay.
we actually use your FCI score in the condition one, and then we use that as 50% of the total building weight. And so it's actually a use thereof, not to affect it, but to be used within this new weighting system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I know you guys submitted reconfiguration. We told you at the front end of this that Charlie left us for a business. He went to the dark side as a businessman. I thought you'd enjoy that one. No, we're really proud of him, and he's been wanting to do that for a while, and he's a great guy. So we think he's going to do a great job. But at any rate, you guys, Teresa did submit a reconfiguration request that has been through WDE. Without Charlie, we're kind of struggling just a little bit to cover his position, but we have that. We will get it to you. We'll give a response to that. But one of those major criteria is the simple fact of capacity. And we don't see capacity as, we don't see it as a negative in this that I anticipate. So I think we're going to go ahead and at least the capacity part of this is a green light for our approval as independently, because we have to assess it independently and say yes or no to your reconfiguration request. And if either WDE or we say no, then it's a no-go and you can't do it. But with that, we'll continue working on that. Hopefully we'll get it done here in the next week or so, and get that out in response to you. Any questions on that?
We've received the Canyon reconfiguration sheet. When can we expect the move New Frontier into Kemmer Elementary?
Yeah.
Do another.
No, actually, I talked to Kim Morrow at WDE, and she, within their approval, I think I can't remember the exact language, but you do not have to do a reconfiguration request for a Frontier. So you can move them over at any time. Just make sure that, let Kim know when you do that and let us know, submit a name update form, and then we'll update that. We'll probably keep Kemmer Elementary School in parentheses or something, but we'll name it the New Frontier High School. The Kemmer Elementary School will be named that, and then we'll take that other building and we'll probably put it into what you guys just going to have to tell us, residency for as a teacher or whatever. We'll just update them that way. So did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, just communicate with us when that happens so we can update our database, and they can make sure that they assign your school, your New Frontier, to the appropriate building for funding reasons.
Okay.
Okay, so with that then, we've covered pretty well everything, but is there something, District, that we haven't covered that you'd like to discuss before we close out the meeting?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Not from my end. Nope.
Thank you. Staff?
Nothing for me, Troy. Thank you.
All right. So with that, once again, Richard, we wish you the best in your retirement, and you've been a great person to work with, and we'll be excited to whoever takes your position there. We'll certainly work with them and honor them and get to know them, and we wish you the best.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, with that then, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thanks for attending, and we'll hopefully see you soon in the future.
All right.
Thanks,
All right,
Troy.
thank
Bye
you so
now.
much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.